as a business, you have a huge challenge. Or as being part of a business, as an employee, you have a huge challenge. As a leader, you have a huge challenge. There's a lot of pain, a lot of problems that take place in the workplace. Not every workplace, but most workplaces, I would say the vast majority, have some sort of an issue that's challenging to them. And really, it focuses around communication, and that communication impacts trust, trust impacts conflict, and so on. So they build on one another. But there's so much jargon now in the workplace. If you were to Google or Chat GPT, what are the pain points in the workplace? What's some of the terminology? You'd hear all kinds of them. And they really all get back to the same thing. It's the environment that we're in the workplace. Now, I'm going to share some of the jargon with you. I'm going to share some of the issues and challenges, but I've also got some solutions. So I hope you'll take the time to watch through this whole video. There's going to be a little commercial partway through. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Maybe you've seen it before if you watch my videos. But take a listen and let's get at this whole thing about workplace jargon and fixing some of these pain points. And what a better place to start than the opening slide. So let's look at workplace jargon decoded, turning pain points into progress. Here's some information on how to contact me. Love to talk with you. Maybe work through how we could fit some of these solutions into your workplace. But let's get into the jargon here. And there's going to be a few bullets here, just kind of summarizing what I want to talk to you about today. One is understanding Boreout. Have you heard that term yet? Well, I'm sure it's a term you can figure out. Glossing over superficial solutions. Do your leaders not include you in the process of coming up with solutions and decision making? That sounds like a huge challenge. Quiet quitting. This is where people are doing the bare minimum of work necessary. They're quietly quitting in the workplace and just going through the motions. Huge challenge. Not if you have the right culture and leadership, however. Resenteeism, like absenteeism. Only resenteeism is you're unhappy. You resent what's going on in the workplace, in your own workplace. How are you and your employees and your team and your organization tackling that? Career cushioning, making sure you have that situation in place where if something does happen, you're ready to make that jump. Productivity paranoia in a hybrid world. With the hybrid world we live in, although more businesses are getting back to in office, which I think personally is great, but remote work does work, and there are ways you can get through that. But what are some of the issues with productivity paranoia? Proximity bias. This is, again, the challenge of the hybrid, right? If you're not in the office, you're not doing the work. Is that the case? What are some solutions to that problem? And finally, overemployment, the multi-job workforce where people have two jobs at the same time. And how do you know that they're not working two jobs at the same time, and what can you do as an organization? So let's take a dive into these a little bit deeper. First one we want to hit on is understanding Boreout. So I want to offer some solutions to you. One is redistributing. That's easy for me to say, redistributing tasks. But find out what people's strengths are and then assign tasks according to their strengths. And how will you find out what their strengths are? One possible solution is using a DISC assessment. That'll certainly help as it relates to communication and skills of interacting. So figure out what are your employees' strengths and then focus on tasks that meet those strengths, that those strengths can address. Encourage skill development. Should be something you're doing all the time, continuing developing your skills. And many businesses forget about the leadership aspect. That is huge. So make sure you take leadership into account when you look at those different growth opportunities. Involve employees in decision making. Way too often things come from the top down. We've all heard that expression. Well, let's have everybody get involved in a decision-making process. Now, I know not every employee can make every decision or be involved in every decision, but there are certain ones that they can certainly be a part of. And if they're part of the solution, they're much less likely to be bored out. And finally, job enrichment. Add some responsibilities that'll stimulate them in the workplace. What are some things they can do without overburdening them that can help stimulate them in the workplace? Delegate some of what you do. If you're the leader, delegate what some of you do. Or if you're not the leader, ask your leader, what are some things that I could do, or offer some suggestions. So that's the first one. Let's look at the next one. Superficial solutions, or glossing over. What are some solutions to superficial solutions? Well, foster a culture where people are willing to speak up, where they know if they say something maybe counter to what's common or well known, that they won't be pushed down for that. Encourage that open and honest communication. Let people feel comfortable sharing. And one way to do that is through personal histories. That's a great way to get that comfort level, that comfort zone built up for you and your staff. Root cause analysis. Keep asking the question, why? Why are we doing this? Why? Again, as a leader, ask your superiors, why are we doing this? As an employee, maybe you're a frontline employee, it's okay to ask why as long as you do it in a respectful manner. Train for constructive conflict. Lencioni talks about this. After you've built trust in your organization through good communication, you can have that constructive conflict where people ask questions, ask those why questions, and try to figure out and get to that best solution that's possible. And the final solution is accountability measures. Obviously, you want to have some accountability and have people have accountability with each other. It doesn't have to be always to this set of goals or these challenges that are out there. Have people accountable to one another in different ways. Next, quiet quitting. This is that, as it says here, that bare minimum mindset. How can you get around that? Well, make sure you have fair compensation, of course, but compensation isn't all the people want. They like some recognition and some reward. Doesn't have to be an automobile or a diamond ring. It can be simply recognizing them for the work that they've done, right? Showing gratitude for a task well achieved. Sometimes a simple pat on the back, right? As long as you don't do it too hard, a pat on the back can be something helpful for somebody. Help improve work-life balance. Now, this is challenging depending upon the industry that you're in, but create that opportunity for people to, if they can take an hour here to go see a kid's football game and they can make it up somewhere else, or figure out a way that you can do it in your organization or your team, it can go miles and miles in terms of people wanting to do the best for their organization. And last thing is purposeful leadership. Your employees have to understand what your mission, vision, and values are. That's what they're working for. And then how do they fit into those mission, vision, and values? And maybe you need to do an exercise where you help them determine their core values and see how they align with the corporate core values. There's some amazing exercises, and I've seen some lights really go on in organizations and with their teams when they start understanding in a passionate way, in a purposeful way, how they better fit into the vision, mission, and values. Uh-oh. Time for a commercial. Hey, I've got an ebook. I've had it for a while, but if you don't have it yet, go to toddkukan.com/guide or scan this QR code. You're going to get a complimentary ebook. And if you're not already getting my emails, you'll also be able to get my monthly emails where I share newsletters and sometimes I share videos like this. Hope you enjoy it. Let's get back to the list. Resenteeism, the cost of staying unhappy, where you resent what you're having to do. Rather than just conducting exit interviews, conduct stay interviews. Talk to your people, talk to them. Don't just, surveys are good. I think surveys are valuable, but those conversations with people can go so far. So intentionally schedule time to talk to people and have those stay interviews. Create career pathways. How can people advance in the organization? Doesn't always mean salary-wise. It could mean growth, personal development, leadership development, whatever the case might be. And finally, focus on workplace culture. And I think the best way to do that is creating a culture team that is ultimately responsible to the organization. And I've had some great success with this in different businesses. I hope you'll look at it and I hope you'll take advantage of it and let me help you build a great culture team for you and your organization. Let's look at career cushioning. Well, this is where you prepare for those uncertain times. Well, if you have transparent communication, right, you can be clear about where the organization is going and your employee's particular role in that future. Being honest and upfront about it. Hiding things and dropping things at the last minute is not a way to run a business or a team or an organization. Invest in development. I've kind of touched on that before. Show employees that you're interested in their long-term development, not just in making a buck for the organization or the business right now, but you want them to have long-term success just like you do for the organization. And finally, build loyalty. Build on that trust. Do exercises, right? Do things. There are 18 ways from one tool that I use, 18 ways you can build trust. Simple ways, right? And we all know it, but we need to be intentional about it and really include it as part of the work plan. Next, let's take a look at the productivity paranoia in a hybrid world, right? Everybody's worried about how many keystrokes you have and a lot of different things, and every business runs that differently and does it differently. Let's look at some other solutions. Measure the outcomes, not the hours. Obviously, that's something you'll need to do in this hybrid environment, right? Measure outcomes. Focus on deliverables and results and helping people get those. Use trust-based leadership. You have to assume the best until an employee proves you wrong, right? So use trust-based leadership. That's a really critical element. Trust is so important. Have regular check-ins. You don't have to micromanage. You don't have to have them, email you at the end of every day what they accomplished that day. Develop some trust, have some good communication, and then communicate without micromanaging. Have regular check-ins. Finally, figure out what technology you need to use. There's all kinds of it out there, but just find the best technology that's out there to solve it. Proximity bias, this is hybrid's hidden challenge. Make sure that everybody has equal access, right? Whether they're working at home, whether they're working remotely, whether they're on the road, whatever the case might be, make sure they have access to all the same resources. Standardize your processes. Make sure everybody's held to the same standard, the same fair standard, right? As particularly when it comes to rewarding achievements. And again, leveraging technology, finding those best tools that you can use. Finally, overemployment. The multi-job workforce. I was shocked during COVID. I heard about people who'd have 2 laptops at their desk when they're at home and they'd be working 2 jobs. And I thought, that's, we need to fix that. That's a huge challenge. So by engaging employees, right? Talk to employees. If you have those check-in meetings, have conversations, get to know your employees, but engage them. And again, the culture team can help with that to elevate workplace engagement, create that culture team. Make sure you have clear policies. Obviously, you have to have a clear policy addressing this challenge. And then finally, focus on retention, offer the right pay and benefits, but also, again, circling back to those growth opportunities. So a lot of ways to get through this jargon. And there is a lot of jargon out there, but it all boils back down to a lot of the things that I love working about. I love doing workshops about. I love doing keynote speaking addresses. I love to work with individuals and teams and organizations to help them eliminate this. And it all comes back to communication, trust, conflict, accountability, commitment, results, teamwork, priorities, habits, all those things that are so critical to an awesome workplace. And that can all be put together as part of a culture playbook and creating a culture team. So I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. I'd love to hear from you. Again, here's some ways. You can text me, you can call me, you can email me, get on my website, whatever the case might be. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, but reach out. Let's have some conversations and let's help you build a better workplace and get through all this jargon so we can decode it and become more productive. Have a great day.